Hello everyone, welcome back, welcome to Kerbal Space Program, rawr. If you notice, I have a few mods, but this video isn't actually a video where we're gonna kinda go up into space. Similar, but not exactly. Today I'm gonna teach you how to build an airplane. Of course, I'll just be going over the basics, so if you're a total noob, this is gonna help. Now, with airplanes, generally you want to go with manned, but it is possible to use any of these. But when making these, you want to mostly use these cockpits. I'm going to be using the smallest one as it's the basic, most basic. If you notice, I do have different mods on here, whatever. Anyway, while building, here's a pretty helpful tip. Hold Alt and then F12, then go to Allow Clipping in Editors and then Alt F12. After that, what we're gonna do, well, first let me explain what that does. It allows clipping in editors, and so you can do, oops, let me grab another one of these. You can do stuff like this, which you normally couldn't do. There's kind of a graphical bug, but normally you can't do this, and that's actually pretty helpful. Okay, so with these, with jet fuel, generally, well, with jet fuel, you have to go with turbojet engines or basic jet engines, but it is possible to make a jet-fired other kind of propulsion aircraft, and that's not as efficient, but it does still get the job done. So we're just gonna start adding some fuel here. Now, jet fuel, if you notice here, it doesn't have any oxidizer as this has, so that means it can't go without using some aerodynamic abilities. So generally, these are the intakes you're going to be using. You can even use this large engine as an intake if you would like. Plop it down here. I think for this video we're going to do that just to show how simple it is. But basically these just suck in air, and these compress air. These are made for high-speed jets and whatnot. Sorry. And these are kind of just Boeing airplanes that you would see normally. So next thing is aerodynamic ability. Now, what's important is you want to keep your lift in front of your what's it called? In front of your mass. These do add mass, but lucky for you, they also add lift too. Before I mentioned that you can make a what's it called? You can make the tool for clipping parts. That's very useful. I'm gonna show you an example of how that could be used. I recreated the F-17 fighter plane. I'll put a picture up there for you, using only stock parts and some clipping ability. Now, these aren't my planes that I'm going to show you next. These are other planes. This one I can't really show. I can show you an example. If you notice, the wings kind of clip each other, but these wings tend to do that usually. So let's start off with a new airplane again. Now I'm going to show how it's possible to do something with this kind of airplane. So depending on what kind of cockpit you choose, it's generally going to have a single corresponding size to it. So Mark II and Mark I generally have the same size, except for Mark II has a little port on the front, and Mark III is going to be totally different. And there really is no Mark II fuselage, but there is an adapter to it, so yeah. So I'm just going to build pretty simple design. Make sure to have air intakes. I think generally for this one, I'm just going to use one that sucks in air. Next, make sure to add your fuselages. More fuselages. 2 is probably enough for this. If you want, you can add... Oops, I forgot about this one. This one is basically attachable everywhere. Looks like a nice little pair of ears. Anyway, next thing, you want to be adding your wings. Now the problem is wings are very flexible in Kerbal Space Program. It's not necessarily bad, but it can work against you. If your wings are too long, then they can flop over and touch the ground, and it's just a big mess to clean up. But there, we'll place our wings there. Try and even them out a little bit. This isn't necessary, but it is good for good shaped aircraft. For wings, you have several different kinds of wings. These don't actually provide any control surfaces, so you can't really do anything with this. But they have a fix for that, where you use these. Now these wings alone are going to provide you with lift, but this is going to help you. Pitch. So let's just use a structural wing, which is a much smaller version of the this delta wing here. Let's just go ahead and put this down. Boop. Awesome. Next, there's deluxe delta wings, much smaller. I tend to usually use these as little things for this. Important note, C helps you change angle snap, and X helps you with symmetry. So, oops, we don't need that. Let's turn on center of lift and center of mass. If you notice, center of lift is behind center of mass. That's not what we want at all. Oops. Messed something up here. There we go. Anyway, next up, we're gonna make a back to this airplane. So by doing that, I'm gonna... Yep. That would probably look nicer, but that would mean I need more work, and I'll just show you how I do that real quick. Forgot about that. It is a little bit difficult to attach some of this sometimes, but I manage. Oh yeah, and then these don't connect to all the surfaces, so you do have to add struts and whatever. Whatever, we'll do that later. Informational video and whatnot. So this tail connector, it doesn't actually fit this one. It'll still connect, but it doesn't look as nice, and thus we're going to have to size it down, size smaller. Do you have this in Mark II? Anyway, right after this, I'll show you the next part that we need. Now we could use canards and other things and such, but canards are typically more used for VTOL aircraft. So let's use these deluxe wings. You can actually put them like this, but for this we're just going to do a single one like so. Next part, they have these hard points that you can barely see. A lot of these parts, by the way, aren't going to show up in your list because they're part of a mod pack, so yeah. Hard points. They're used to attach things to aircraft, but you can't attach them to wings and whatever when you have it in angle snap. You have to use it inside of the what's it called? Just the circular angle snap. For this, we're actually going to use some engines and put more air intakes on that. And let me just note, air intakes are pretty important. This is for low speed, low altitudes. This is for basically if you're going to build something like the F-17 jet. Next thing we're gonna need some wheels. Wheels give us the power of takeoff and landing. I'll place 2 here. like so. And if I'm right, by the way, these are your stages, so if you're going to add other things, you can put them, they'll show up in here and you can move them around and do whatever with them. Our lift actually isn't in front of our flight yet, so how are we going to fix that exactly? Well, you can hold Alt and then click this. I'm going to make these wings a lot longer. Probably don't need this many. I'll leave this one on here actually. I don't think we need this though. If you notice, this is a little bit big, so that means we're gonna have to add struts. Typically for struts, I tend to usually use hard points to attach them correctly. So I'm just gonna attach hard points like such, because these wings are gonna flex when you do whatever with them. So go ahead and take it. And we're just going to connect all these together. And important information about aircraft. When making your payload, and that could be bombs, missiles, energy that you store later for different flights and whatever, typically you want to store those on the bottom of the aircraft. So now we're going to just attach all our stuff together. And next we need a way to actually get this fuel to the engines, and we're just going to do that by putting a fuel pump to the wings. For some reason wings can pump fuel, and I'm starting to slur my speech, but wings can pump fuel. We can actually get rid of these antennas now. This should work if I'm correct. In fact, we could put wings wherever and it would probably work better. And what the hell, we'll put some Kenyards on them. These just look like little mustaches that you see on fish. On catfish with their whiskers. Speaking of cats, hi. Meow. Yeah. Anyway, there is an IVA mode. I don't actually know what that stands for, but unfortunately these cockpits are unfinished at the moment. So press space to activate the stage, and you're just gonna start rolling immediately. You can hold brakes to fix that. So next, what are we gonna do next? Well, I'm just gonna show you. Engines move around, tail fins, whatever, they move around. Fuel stays the same. Fuel can't move around. If you notice, this isn't moving because this is going to hold this up, which is going to hold this up, which is going to hold this up, and no flexibility. Well, not as much. These are gears, which can be activated using G, and holding the B button doesn't do anything, pressing it doesn't do anything, except it's not toggleable, so you need to toggle it from here actually. Lights can actually be accessed through L, I believe? No. So hold shift to thrust your engines up. Now the problem with these kinds of engines is they don't, if you go all the way up, they need to throttle up that. They need to actually start gaining up. And so if you notice, when I'm shifting, it's actually going up, but with stuff like other engines, those will just immediately go up. Sweet. Okay, next we'll go ahead, deactivate our brake. Control is to bring it back down, and X is just to terminate it immediately. Let's go ahead and throttle this crap up. I'm not moving for some reason. That happens. That happens. That doesn't happen. Okay. Now that we're moving, the physics engine has fixed itself. For some reason, you tend to strafe one way or the other. Whoa, yeah, that took off really quick. That's probably because of all these front wings here. Press G to lower your landing gear. Q and W to roll. We're going up a little too high. W and A to pitch, or W and S to pitch, excuse me, and A and whatever to A and D to yaw. So if you notice, everything just moves around the way it's supposed to. I'm a fish. I'm a fish. I'm a fish. I'll give a chance here just to introduce the mod I use. I use the laser system mod. I'll get rid of this. So that adds things like controlled flight and other things. Now you don't have to make your aircraft that big. I'm going to show you the first model that I've made. This actually uses the 1 and 2 keys to activate it through different controls, whatever. So if you notice, this is actually incredibly small. And that's fine. Have the smallest aircraft you'd like. Oops. Check it out. Works perfectly. And they don't have this cockpit finish either. I have a few different modes for this, all of which are incredibly weird. Anyway, just remember, typically you want to have your mass in front of your lift, but it's not always the case. I actually you can make pretty much as big of aircraft if you want. This is the United Bomb Dropper. I created this as an experiment, and notice how little wings there are on it. And it's very light, has escape capabilities in case something breaks on it, fully able to drive in space and return, SAS, RCS, the whole shin deal, dig, whatever. Basically, this thing is pretty much a rocket with wings, which means it doesn't have to use thrusters in areas with atmosphere. So it's going to need to use these thrusters, say, landing on the moon, but it's not going to need to use these thrusters, say, landing on Duna. Maybe a little bit as a push, but whatever. But if you notice, it's a lot less fuel efficient. Gets off the ground okay. Oops. Nope. Turning on SAS, it's gonna mess with all this stuff. Usually, look at how this thing flops around. Anyway, that's how to build a basic airplane. Hope you enjoyed. Rate, comment, subscribe, and be back later. Bye.